my name is Michaela Amalla, and my husband is Devin Amaya. We have a 2-year-old daughter named Addie, and I came on board with COPE about a year ago in a part-time position. At that time, the main missionary was Barb O'Donoghue, who founded COPE when she went to visit that area of Kenya about 20 years ago, like the mid 90s. So a little bit over 20 years ago. Wow, we're 20 years from the 90s. And she fell in love with the Pokot people, which is who we serve. We serve West Pokot in Kenya, and started a school there. So way back when, she started the first school in the area, just a one-room dirt floor school, and it's grown since then. But she was the missionary when I came on board, and I grew up going to church where we would support her, and grew up listening to her stories, and she was just absolutely incredible. And when I came on board part-time, I came on as managing their webpage, their marketing, that sort of thing. And then in July, Barb passed away. It was very unexpected. She had lung cancer, and we didn't know it until just a few weeks before she passed away. And my husband and I prayed about it a lot, and we talked to the board a lot, and we were offered the position of the interim directors of COPE Ministry December 1st. So since just December, we have been the primary missionaries and the directors of COPE Ministry. It's been really incredible. It's been a really hard season to jump into because of COVID and not having Barb here to kind of mentor us into this role. But the primary things that we're overseeing that COPE does is the school that's in Pokot that now has about 600 students. It's no longer a one-room house sort of thing. It's a full-blown school with several classrooms and permanent bathrooms, which is hard to find in the area, and all of those things. We also oversee a sponsorship program to pair students with sponsors who can't afford their school fees. And we oversee the relief food program, which feeds about 600 to 700 people a week. Pretty much everyone in the area has food insecurity, but we try and find the neediest, the top neediest, and we feed them. And then there's a huge waiting list. We also oversee a bakery, a sewing house, and a medical dispensary, and we're hoping to continue growing that into a clinic soon, but that will probably be in the 5-year projection or so for that. And then we oversee the evangelism, obviously, in the area. And one of the things that we do quite frequently is we send out crews to different villages around us and different parts of our village. With the permission of their chief, we go and we show something called a Jesus film, which was developed by Crew Ministry. And it's basically a gospel film, kind of like the ones you would see here, but then they're dubbed over in the native tongue. And because in Pokot, they don't speak Swahili, they speak Pokot. There's no written version of that language. And so we've had to have one specially dubbed over so that it is, anyone can understand it there. Many of the young children are learning Swahili, but the older adults and the elderly only speak Pokot. And so it was really incredible that Crew was able to supply us with a video in their native mother tongue. But that's one of the main ways we do evangelism, and we also have services and prayer days and those sorts of things. So Devin and I oversee all of those things, and that's the gist of what we do in the area. It's very remote. It's a sub-Saharan climate, so there's either hot and wet or hot and dry. So there's either flooding or drought all the time, and it's always hot. And the disease level in the area is very prevalent. So we deal with many orphans and many people who that are just sick and dying all the time. And so teaching people about treating people with sanctity of human life and all of those things is really important to us. And we also address we have these services called Celebration of Christian Manhood and Christian Womanhood, and this helps us address female genital mutilation, but also the importance of being faithful to your spouse and respecting your spouse, and how all these things tie in together. And then that helps us start the conversation of how female genital mutilation is not, it's just not okay. But the conversation is really just starting in that area. It's very, very common, as is child marriage for young girls. So these are kind of the things that we're combating in that area, in addition to just the physical hardships of that area.
And how big is the village? Pokot?
So the Pokot area is, it's over 100,000 people are in that tribe that we are serving. And we are the largest employer in the area, and we have 40 employees. So that gives an idea of the level of poverty. There's no place to work. There is no place to get income. And the ground is not very farmable. So because of the drought and floods. So it's very, very hard for people to find income.
Is there other missionary organizations in the area?
There are a couple within about 100, 150 miles of us. And they are really great. There's some that have homes for children, just like we have a home that has about 70 children in it right now. And those sorts of things. The problem is that because there's hardly any transportation other than walking, 100 miles is too far for the people who we are directly serving. That would be several days of walking. And it's very hard to, unless they come to us and we are able to connect them with these other missions, it's very hard for them to receive help from them. But we are trying to connect to other missions. We've recently connected with a medical mission out of Eldoret, and they came and did like a one-day clinic and helped treat over 300 people in our area. So it's great when other missions can come in. It's very hard to get our people out to other missions.
And what would you say is one of your biggest needs right now?
So right now, I would say our two biggest needs come in the form of relief food and sponsorship. Relief food being because just a couple of weeks ago, we had flooding in the area, and all the seeds that our community planted in their shambas, their gardens, were flooded out. And so now we're trying to help them replace their seeds. And that's an expensive process, but also they spent all of their money this month on their original seeds. And if they don't have a harvest, then they don't have food in the fall either. So really, from now until the fall, they're holding out, hoping for a harvest, but they don't have a source of food other than the relief food we give out. So there's always this huge need for relief food. And it's honestly, for us in the United States, the cost is not, it costs about $13 a month per family for US dollars for them to receive flour, salt, oil, bread, basically for a week for their family. And it's not that much for us, but for them, it's just not possible. And so the more relief food funding we have, the more people we can add to our relief food list, and the more food we can distribute every week. So that's a big one. And then the sponsorship program, we have about 200 children who are enrolled in it right now, and only about 100 of them have sponsors. So it's $40 a month to sponsor a child, and they get to, we give you communication with them. You can write letters back and forth. We'll send you pictures and updates, but it pays for their school fees, their uniforms, their school supplies, their exam fees, 2 meals a day, and any medical care they need to be healthy and successful in school. We take care of all of that. So our sponsorship program, we're really pushing it, really trying to connect. And another great thing about this program is that it allows Christians in the United States to show Jesus to little kids in Africa. You get to have a personal relationship with this kid, and this kid, it might be their only interaction with a grown-up that really cares about them and really wants them to succeed. And you get to have that personal relationship. And it's been really impactful for our kids. The first couple of our sponsorship kids have just gone off to college and wrote letters back to their sponsors saying, thank you so much. I never, ever would have imagined going to college. Kids in this area don't go to college. That's up till the last 5-10 years. No one in this area went to college. So it's just really super incredible. And that's a huge way people can plug in and help in a really personal way.
What are some items that First Christian Church can be praying about?
So one of the biggest things we're always praying for is safety in the area. Because we are on the Uganda border, there's a lot of violence, mostly in Uganda, actually, but it comes over across the border frequently, and we are right there. So we are building a security wall around our facility, around our school, our Cope House home, everything, trying to keep everyone safe. But it's always just a little bit scary to have your kiddos very close to a dangerous area, just like it would be in the United States. So that can be really scary, but also travel is really hard. And we have to have staff travel out to get the relief food and that sort of thing. And so their safety is really important. And also with COVID right now, just safety in terms of exposure levels. When our staff travels into Nairobi, it's very condensed there, and the population is right on top of each other all the time. And that's where diseases are spread most rapidly. And so it's not just COVID, really any infectious disease, it can be very dangerous to go into compacted areas like that. So safety is a huge one. And then also obviously for Devin and I's travel, safety is a huge one. And then the other thing is if we can just shower the area in prayer over our little girls in the area, because with COVID, many families have no source of income right now, and many didn't before, but the only source of income they can have is to sell their daughters into marriage free often. And so little girls, 8, 9, 10-year-olds are trying to be married off right now. And we try and take in as many as we can intercept, and so do other missions around. But we are just very concerned for our little girls right now and praying big for them, and for God to just intervene in really big ways in the area for that. So those are some big ones. And obviously for just the Holy Spirit to sweep through the area and evangelism to be really, really successful, because only God can make changes in the community that really ought to happen to just change the quality of life and bring the value of life into that area.
Before we were recording, you were talking about your upcoming journey.
Yeah. So we are planning to go in September for 8 to 12 weeks. It'll be my husband and my daughter and I will go. And this is contingent on travel policies with COVID and everything else. But this will be just a couple of months for us to get a really good handle on everything going on over there. This is the longest they've been without one of us there. And so it's going to be really important that we get over there and make sure everything is going really smoothly. They've done an amazing job without us, but we are very ready to hug our babies. So we're ready to get back over there.
I like to, in mission work, have a goal of sustainability, so it's always a good sign that it doesn't completely collapse when missionaries are gone.
Yeah. And really the admin team there is what has made that possible, is they have really owned this mission and given their heart for the area, the Tapadany Valley. As locals who grew up there, they and want to minister to it. And that is what will create a sustainable ministry, like you said. And they definitely, as do we, have the goal of self-sustainability in several of their areas that they're working towards and reaching. And we're blown away proud of what they've done over the last year and how they've advanced the mission without us even being there, because they've just taken it in their hearts and run with it. It's been amazing.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. So I looked over your budget a little bit, and you said the main areas are just school sponsorship, as well as food. So if you were to encourage just an individual, First Christian Church, what's awesome is, we set aside 10% for mission outreach work, local and globally. But we also know, and we ask our congregation to, if God puts it on their heart to specifically bless a ministry, outreach ministry, how could they do that on an individual basis?
Right. So Yeah, that's super. I think it's really important for Christian families to plug into mission work and ministry. And it's actually very easy to plug into COPE on an individual basis. We have a Facebook page that's COPE Ministry and a web page that's childrenofpokot.org. And right on there, there's all the forms, all the information you need to sponsor a child. Or if you want to just set up a monthly giving or support in another way, there's links for that. All of that can be automated online. And also, if we're not doing technology, if we're not technology people, we also have a PO box and all of that. And I would definitely I'll send you some documents with our contact info. I can send you some business cards and stuff to make it really easy to connect. But even on our webpage, it lists all the different programs we have going on. And if you want to like plug into one specific one, you absolutely can do that. If you're a teacher and you're passionate about education and that's what you want to give towards, absolutely you can do that. Or if you want to pay for the medical care of a child, you can do that too. So it's a really great way to individualize your giving into where your passion and your heart is.
Amen. Do you have missions trips that are set up?
No. So that has not been something we have done with this mission yet, and probably not in the foreseeable future. And one of the biggest reasons why is because it is such a harsh environment. It's very hard to travel and get there and adjust to the climate in a short mission trip length. So most short-term mission trips, half of that you would spend traveling and the other half you'd be sick in bed because it's so hot. So that's one of the biggest reasons we haven't done anything like that yet. Although we have had a few mission partners who have come alongside us who already have missions in the area, who've come and visited and that sort of thing. So we haven't done like open church mission trips yet.
Very good. That's good to know. Anything else you'd like to add that hasn't been covered?
No, I think we went through a lot of it. I'm just so blessed that you reached out and that we were able to have a conversation.